Yeah. So I figured I'd just briefly touch on how COVID has impacted retro game collecting and sort of the general trends I've seen in retro game collecting in general. In around March and April, due to, God, you could argue like a million different reasons why. Whether it's increased interest from normies during lockdowns who want to play like Nintendo Wii stuff again, or it's just people having more disposable income and wanting to shell it out to retro games online. The point is, game prices have gotten insane. Most of these like Nintendo 64 and GameCube titles that are really common, but people really want to play, so the Marios, the Zeldas, and the first party titles. These prices are getting absurd. You can even kind of see this, like the poster child for this is Earthbound. Actually a pretty common game. Not super rare, but people just get away with charging so much money for it. And now we see it in something like Mario Kart 64. Extremely common game, but now people pay like 40, $50 for it. And it's kind of an issue too, because we're also seeing with this heavily increased demand and all this stuff, a lot of reproduction carts and bootlegs coming out that are trying to be passed off as the original thing. So now we're in a whole new can of worms where it's like, okay, retro game collecting is maybe affordable if you're dropping $15, $20 per game on a bootleg. But at that point, when you're just buying a bootleg cartridge, why are you not modding one of your consoles to play these games? Why are you not getting a flash cart or emulating these? Because you're not supporting the company. You're supporting bootleggers who are making illegal copies of the game. You are supporting a secondary market who is just out there to make a profit by selling these games. You're not supporting the developers, but now there's a huge market for paying a lot of money for these old games. And I don't really think we're going to see the prices fall, because even as COVID is sort of quelled, arguable, the prices have stagnated. They're still really, really high because it's shown that people are just willing to pay this for all these games. And I think a lot of this, in my opinion, is kind of due to YouTubers and this view on what game collecting is, as well as another topic, which would be the accessibility of these games in official ways on modern platforms. So I'll just touch on that point for a bit. Nintendo's killed off Virtual Console, basically. They have the Switch Online, but that's it. Capcom kind of releases some of their games with, like, Mega Man. That's out here. But for other Capcom series people are into, that's not getting the same treatment. Where's all the new Dino Crisis releases? So, I don't know. A lot of these games, they just are stuck on these old platforms, so you have to track down an old copy or mod your console to play a backup or just emulate it. But a lot of YouTubers promote the idea that you have to play on the original hardware. The games just don't feel right otherwise. And that's just kind of a weird argument to make, because it's like, assuming you've got like maybe 1-2 frames of extra latency when you're playing a game, let's be real, you're not going to notice that. It's a lot of a placebo effect people are having. So for people who just want to play these games, especially kids, it's not realistic to tell them to go drop like $40, $50, $60 on all these N64 and GameCube games right now when they're competing with 30, 40-year-old men who are getting like all this nostalgia bait, nostalgia pandering, who then want to go and relive their childhood and buy all these games, and they have a massive disposable income to do it with. So it's just really weird in that regard. But it's also kind of like the market's sort of fucked by a lot of people not wanting to play these games, but just wanting to own them. So you have a lot of these YouTubers who just kind of buy these games to be like, hey, I have this full set. I completed the Nintendo Wii U library. I completed the N64 library. I got the Clay Fighter director's cut, sculptor's cut, whatever the fuck. And it's like, you didn't want to play that game. You don't care about that game. You just wanted it because it's rare, and it's like, it's just a dick wag. It feels like a lot of game collecting now is just dick wagging, and people who are being told that if they just want to play these games, they have to buy these old copies, but they're competing with people who just want to buy these copies to dick wag. And it's a shitty situation for everyone, because I don't see why that kind of show off, just flaunt your wealth, is being promoted. Why do people think it's cool to just be like, look how many games I bought? I completed my NES collection. I haven't beaten half these games. Hell, I haven't even put half these games in my console and played them for a couple minutes. But I own it. I own the whole collection, and it's kind of like, okay, am I supposed to care? Like, tell people more that, like, there's some really good emulators out there, especially for stuff like NES. So it's like, I feel like the person who gets like a full NES ROM set and opens up like an NES emulator on their PC, damn, they're going to have played way more NES games and have had way more fun than the person who just spent thousands of dollars to just buy all these cartridges. So, I don't know. It's a weird, weird time. And maybe people are going to wake up one day and see that consumerist tendencies like this, they are really only helping people who want to make a quick buck. These retro game sellers, me included, I sold basically all my retro games because it's like, when I was a kid, I was buying Super Nintendo games, NES games, and they were like 50 cents, $1 a piece. I remember just like Mario Bros. 1 through 3. You want all those games? They're like $1 each. And it was great. It let me play so many games as a kid, but oh god, not anymore. So it's like, when I now go and sell all these games for like $20 a piece, like, hell yeah, I'm happy about this profit, but at the same time, I kind of feel bad for the people who just want to play these games, because I know I'm selling them to people who just want them on a shelf to be like, look what I bought, Reddit. Reddit, you'll never guess what. I bought a copy of Mario 64. This game was my childhood, even though they maybe played through like once. And it's like, good for you, pal. So, I don't know. Game collecting's cooked. COVID spiking the prices is also absolutely cooked. Will things return to normal? What the fuck is normal? I don't know. So, thanks for listening. Take it easy.